Hey everybody, what's up y'all? Welcome to my channel. TammyTalks here. I want to talk Bel-Air. So the first 3 episodes of the new Peacock series, Bel-Air, which as we know is the reimagined, more dramatic version of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, has dropped. I just got around to watching it tonight. I watched all 3 episodes in one sitting. I thought it was absolutely great. Let's talk about it. If you're brand new to my channel, I do breakdowns of various TV shows, both scripted and reality, interjecting my own thoughts, opinions, and theories into each recap. So, if you enjoy that type of content, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Thumbs up the video if you enjoyed tonight's content, and hop into the comment section so we can talk about what you guys liked, what you guys did not like about it. So, y'all know typically over here, I like to do episode by episode and give recaps that way just because it keeps it straighter in my head, basically. But for this, I got so into Bel-Air. I watched all 3 episodes in one sitting. So it was great. They're about 45 minutes to an hour. There are commercials on Peacock, but they're not bad. It's giving Hulu commercial base where it's like max 60 maybe 90 seconds, but not bad at all. And I feel like the episode 3 didn't have any commercials at all. So I only got 1 page of notes because I wanted to just write down some main topics and then talk more about it. So the show, episode 1 kind of starts off and we get some background information on Will. So Will is a straight A student. He is he's really good at basketball, so he's like the best player on the team, and he has a scholarship, or he's trying to get a scholarship to a college to, get out the hood and do something with his life. So we find out that there are some schools coming to look at him, more specifically VCU. Will's a little nervous about leaving he's a little nervous about leaving Philly because he feels like this is Philly. He is West Philly. This is his home. This is what he wants to, this is where he wants to be. This is his reputation. He's really acting like Spencer from All of American with the I got to put the hood on my back type stuff, which if y'all have been rocking with me, y'all know I do not like Spencer over here. So, Will and Ice Tray, who is in the series, so that was good to see. So, Will and Ice Tray get approached by Darnell, who is one of the local drug dealers, and he was supposed to be, I guess he's really good at basketball too. Now, he always said that he was better than Will, but he got locked up on probably some drug charges, so that's the only reason that Will isn't riding the bench. So Will takes that as a threat. He takes that as an attack on his manhood and his skill and his legacy. So Will and Trey go to meet up with Darnell so that they can play a little pickup 2-on-2 game to see who really is the best. They get there. Rashad, who is one of the big drug dealers, tells Will, if you and your little friend win, I will give you $2,000. If y'all lose, then you have to start working for me. Ice Tray don't want to do any of this at all. The boy that is playing Ice Tray looks like Ice Tray from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I was like casting the spot on. I didn't look it up and see if he's like a son or anything, but he looks just like him. So I know Ice Tray was played by, who was it? I can't think of his name right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of his name. Ice Tray is played by... Y'all are going to kill me later. Y'all are going to kill me. I have to look it up. Ice Tray is played by... Because I'm seeing his face. Ice Tray is played by... Come on, y'all. Come on, Google. Don Cheadle. Lord have mercy. I don't know why that was so hard for me. But it's played by Don Cheadle, and I don't know if Don Cheadle has a son or what, but this little boy on here looks like him. So they get to the basketball court, and the game is going good. Will and Ice Tray end up beating Darnell and the other guy who's playing with him. He's salty. It turns into this huge brawl. That's where the fight comes in. Turns into this huge brawl where Will goes and gets Ice Tray is getting beat up, getting jumped. Will goes, pulls a gun out, and is holding the gun. Police come, everybody's running. Will apparently drops the gun. Will gets arrested. His mother found out. So she must have got in contact with Vivian and Phil over in Bel-Air, and they pull some strings. And when Will gets picked up by his mom from jail in the morning, she drives him straight to the airport to get him out of town because you put a gun on Rashad. So that's where that's coming from. Rashad sees Will leaving, says that he's a snitch, so now there's a bounty on Will's head. So we get over to LA. Will missed the car service that was coming to pick him up, but he found another ride, probably like an Uber or something like that, and it's Jazz. So what I like about Jazz is he's not the kind of like ditzy dunce type of guy that he was on the Fresh Prince. We have to remember this is not a comedy. This is a more dramatized version of it. So we seek Jazz, and we start to see where their friendship is going to start. Jazz is from Compton. Will is from Philly. They have a little conversation where Jazz is able, he said, to use his hood radar to pick up that Will must be from West Philly. They arrive at the house, and both Will and Jazz are both amazed at how big this mansion is. We see a guy come out, and it's Jeffrey. Jeffrey is suave and fine as fuck. Jeffrey is very, very good looking. And Jeffrey is the house manager. So he's not necessarily the chef and the butler and all that stuff. He's the house manager, which means he's running everything that goes on. He's telling everybody what to do. So we start to meet all the other people there. So we meet Aunt Viv. She's reminiscent of Black Aunt Viv. From the first episode, from the original series. We find out that she is an artist, or she used to be an artist. She is now an art history teacher in college. We meet Hillary. Hillary is nowhere near the same as the character from Fresh Prince. She is played by a brown-skinned girl. She is a social media influencer. So she has this huge following. I think she said, like 75,000 followers. But she also has goals to be like an aspiring like chef, but in the realm of how like there's like these Instagram chefs and cooks and stuff now. That's what she wants to do. We meet Ashley, who really does not have a real significant storyline in these first 3 episodes. It kind of feels like because Ashley was on Fresh Prince, Ashley has to be on here. That's the vibe it's giving. And then we finally meet Carlton, who is an ass. When I tell y'all Carlton got on my nerves the entire 3 episodes. Every scene that Carlton was in, I cringed, I rolled my eyes, and I was ready. I was over it. So we meet those people. We also meet Uncle Phil, who doesn't seem the happiest Will is there, but he's like trying to run for district attorney. So because he wants to be a DA, he has all these eyes on him because of the campaign. And you know, when you're running for office and stuff like that, it puts a lot of eyes on you and on your family. So what we see these first 3 episodes is we basically get a feel for like the family dynamic. Will does not want to be there because he feels like he left Ice Tray kind of too thin for himself back home in Philly. He also didn't want to leave because, you know, he left his mom, which this didn't make sense to me. Rashad is looking for you, but I guess your mom is just going to be fine living by yourself? Like there's no concern for his mom? But okay, so we get to see a lot of the ups and downs and struggles that Will is going through by now being in Bel-Air. So before we get to Will, let's get Hillary out the way. So Nope, I'm gonna go through where I got my notes. Lisa is on here, who is now Carlton's ex. That's the one thing that I did not like about this show. I feel like the role that they're giving Lisa could have literally been anybody else. It could have been any other girl's name. No need for it to be Lisa. It also doesn't make sense because Lisa came along in like well into their college years. So Carlton is he takes Will around to show him around so that he can get acclimated to school. They're in the locker room and Carlton is letting these white boys say nigga. And Will kind of charges them up and it's like, what is going on? Why would you allow this? Whatever the case. And Carlton is like, it's not that big of a deal. So Carlton is on some we say it as black people type bullshit. No, if you're not black, you shouldn't be saying nigga. Point blank, period. It's really not up for discussion. But I feel like that was very on par for how Fresh Prince Carlton was behaving. Remember, he was always kind of like mystified at like some of the stuff that Will would do. Like Carlton never felt like he needed to fit into this box of blackness. But this was kind of shocking considering how black this show is. They're in like, you know, Uncle Phil is an alpha. We can assume that Aunt Viv is an AKA. Although I don't think they ever like really said what she was. We didn't see any colors or anything like that. So that must mean that that actor is an alpha, but this actress is not an AKA. So Carlton and Will end up getting into a big argument and Will storms out. Once they get back home, Will sees Carlton snorting cocaine. Carlton said it's not coke, it's Xanax. Bullshit, me not. You don't snort Xanax. You don't snort Xanax. So we then find out that Lisa is at Bel-Air on a scholarship. So she wants Will to know that she's not there because she's rich. She swims and, you know, she's trying to train for the Olympic trials. We find out that Trey done got shot back in Philly because Rashad is out looking for the both of them. Will is gone, safe and sound, and Trey is basically a target now. So then Carlton tries to embarrass Will at school. So Carlton is mad. I feel like I missed something. Yes. So Will takes Carlton out to this party. Carlton is hopped up on coke. He sees Lisa and Will talking. Lisa is Carlton's ex, who they broke up on bad terms. Carlton is clearly not over her. So he sees them kissing and dancing, just kind of talking. He walks over, pushes Will's non-swimming ass into the pool. So Will almost drowns. Lisa, being a swimmer, jumps in to save him. And then Will gets out and punches Connor and Carlton. So Carlton is pissed because of this. So when Will is in school, he's like trying to fend for himself, doesn't know where to go because Carlton's been a little bitch about everything. Will is like running from security through the halls and ends up running right into Carlton's assembly. So Carlton is basically saying how they're trying to pick a charity, and Carlton wants to support an inner city school by calling out Will and asking him, what did your old school have? Did you guys have this? Did you guys have that? And it's kind of like Carlton is doing the absolute most to make Will feel uncomfortable and to feel like he's really not wanted there, which we know that you don't want him there anyways, but there's no need to like take it to this extreme to where you're like trying to embarrass him every chance that you get. So Hillary has an interview with Hot Cuisine, which is probably like some huge food and wine magazine. And Aunt Viv set it up for her so that she can try to promote her food and become like a social media foodie. She has this interview. Hillary is black, so Hillary cooks with a lot of different spices and seasonings and things like that. They enjoyed her food, but they tell her that they need her to change her clothing. They want her to wear more neutral clothes. She's wearing, bright colors and patterns. They want her to wear more neutral clothing so that the food stands out more on the website and in the magazines. They also tell her that she would have to run the recipes by them because they want to make sure that it's not too spicy. And Hillary was on some, my family loved the spice. They were like, well, your family is not our target demographic. I said, oh, not y'all being racist. Oh, why don't people like cooking with seasoning? I don't understand it. So Hillary feels away. She turns down their job offer because she doesn't want to compromise her cooking integrity to appease to a magazine that is not even focused towards her demographic. So Carlton walks up to Will, middle of the school, and I'm only hitting key points because 3 hours of TV is a lot, and I don't want to be on here talking forever. So Carlton approaches Will at school, and he wants to fight him. Why? Because Lisa started telling everybody that, well, Carlton started this rumor that Will just attacked him and started that fight. Lisa cleared it up and was like, no, Carlton started it because he was jealous of what me and Will over there talking. So Carlton is mad about that and wants Will to fight him because now he wants to prove his manhood because now he's coming across as the bitter ex. I said Carlton is stressing me out. So on top of the fact that he's always hopped up on coke. Why do he have to be on cocaine? Why couldn't he just be annoying? But it's also very on par for some of the stuff that goes on at these high schools. Y'all see Euphoria. So Will is practicing for basketball trials with Jazz, and he's trying to get on the team because he knows that he has to find his people there. He talked to Aunt Viv, and she said she gets it. It was hard for her to leave get the West Philly out of her too. But once she found her people in the LA area, she then felt like she was more at home and she could really be herself. So Will knows how to be himself by hooping. So Will is practicing with Jazz for basketball tryouts, but he has this residual PTSD from being arrested by the cops. So he's just trying to figure out how he's going to get past this because he's missing shots and not able to handle the ball well. So he goes home and he's practicing on the basketball court that's in their house. And Uncle Phil comes out because he knows that he has to find a way to relate to him so that Will starts to feel more at home. So they're outside, they're shooting around, and Will finally opens up to Uncle Phil and kind of talks to him about what's going on and like what he's been dealing with after being arrested by the police. He said he didn't resist, he didn't struggle, he didn't fight back, but they still just kind of tossed him in the back of the squad car like he was a piece of trash. So they have this bonding moment, and then over in the cut is hating ass Carlton. Like, we didn't hate Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I don't want to hate him on here, but it's very close, y'all. It is very close to it. So as Will is leaving school the next day, he's had a great day. He did good in basketball practice. He made the team. So as Will is leaving, this same security guard that was chasing him before comes up to him and asks to see what's in his bag. And Will is like, why my bag? Come to find out, Connor, who Will punched at the party and is Carlton's best friend, slipped drugs in his backpack. So now Will is being suspended, and Carlton is standing there looking while Connor tells him, I told you I would handle it. And I said, wow. And it's like, I get it, Carlton. You don't like Will. You feel like he's coming in and kind of stealing your shine and getting in the way. But like, you really gonna let this white boy plant drugs on your black cousin in 2022? Wow. So back at the house after Will gets home, he's getting interrogated by Phil and Vivian. And he's like, this is not mine. I didn't have this. Somebody planted these on me. And I'm like, let's think about that. Who will Will even get drugs from? He don't know nobody. So Carlton is really sitting there covering for Connor. Carlton is really sitting there covering for Connor, knowing that your cousin could go to jail or anything can happen. You're going to cover for him. So Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv get to the bottom of it, and they go in and they talk to the school, and it's kind of like, all right, so what did the camera show? Nothing suspicious. Of course, the cameras never did it. They talked to a couple teachers, they talked to some students, and that's how they concluded the investigation. So when it comes out that they're looking at the cameras, Carlton gets scared now because, he lied for Connor. So they devise a plan where Carlton goes in, makes an anonymous tip that he did see somebody buy Will's backpack. So they drop the investigation, thus not looking at the cameras. So Will knows that Connor did it. Will knows that Carlton is lying for him and kind of calls him a liar because it's like you're really about to take up for you're really about to take up for this white boy that really just tried to frame me. The same one that you lit and say nigga just because it's in a song. So we have a scene, I feel like it was around this time where we see Lisa go up to Carlton and they're talking and she just kind of tells him like, you need to get away from Connor because your nose candy habit, like, what is really going on with you? He got cocaine on his nose and the thing. I said, oh. Oh, and Carlton kind of tells her, stay away from Will because he's bad news and he's dangerous. And it's like Carlton is just not coming across in a good light at all in this series, at all. So Will is at lunch with Lisa. And while they're at lunch, he's still trying to hit on her. She doesn't want to do it because she feels like it's going to cross the line between, Carlton is her ex and she doesn't want to just, cause a situation. He ends up getting his blazer dirty when she hits his hand or something. He gets mustard on it. He's like, oh, I can't be dirty. So he flips the blazer inside out, and that's how they tie in that scene into this. That was kind of unnecessary because, to me, that felt out of place because this Will does not have a problem with wearing the school uniform. He's not dressing weirdly or anything like that. So I get that was like a nod to the original, but we didn't really need that scene. We see Lisa and Carlton go out. They meet up for lunch. And she ends up telling Carlton that she still cares for him. But they done. And Carlton, all he hears is cares for you. And so now he's like, in his mind, I think he feels that they might have a chance to get back together. Uncle Phil is an alpha. And he goes to this crawfish boil because he did an interview with Big Boy on the radio, and the black voters are not connecting with him because he, is this multimillionaire that lives in his big mansion in Bel-Air. How can he relate to the struggles of the everyday black person, kind of down in the city, down in LA, or just across the greater metro area? So he's at the crawfish boil. He needs to get the endorsement of one of his bros, which is a pastor of a huge mega black church. And it's not going well for him. They not paying him no dust. They calling Phil out, talking about your first roommate was on drugs and we paid for the relapse and you missed out on all this stuff. You stopped coming to everything. You're no longer brother Yamakra. We just know you was brother Phil now, and I don't know this man. I said, ooh. So while this is going on, Carlton and Will are there because they are supposed to be helping set up. They're volunteering. Now they're supposed to be volunteering to do some chairs. One of the men that asked him to do it, Carlton has an attitude with. He's not helping out the way that he should. He's just not making a good first impression. Whereas Will is, out there working hard, helping move the chairs and move the tables because he's, he doesn't mind doing that kind of stuff. Carlton is a little spoiled, entitled child who does mind doing that type of stuff, right? So Carlton only wanted to go because he wanted to talk to one of these judges who sits on the board of this company he wants to get an internship with to help get a scholarship so he can go to Princeton. Carlton is ignoring everybody. He sees the older man come, and he is sitting down talking to this older man, trying to basically use him to get his name bumped up to the top of the list. The older man tells him, we could talk about their program all day, but I stepped down last month. But if you want to, get your name to the top of the list, you should talk to, the brother over there, who so happens to be the man that Carlton was being an ass with, that asked them to help out with tables and chairs. And that is why you never know who it is that can help you, who can help propel your career or get you to the top. And that's why you don't treat people like trash just on some, I think I'm better than you, or I think I'm above what you're trying to ask me to do. So Will overheard the entire exchange where Uncle Phil wasn't getting Uncle Phil was getting resistance to him trying to get endorsed. So Will goes and gets on the mic and is doing all this yelling and was like, trying to fake step. And they were like, well, you better get your nephew. So it was really a ploy to get Uncle Phil up there. And he was like, well, if I'm doing it wrong, show me how to do it. So that gets Uncle Phil to stepping. While he is stepping, they start to see that he is still down for us. He is, still one of the bros. And ultimately, he's now able to have a conversation with that reverend whose endorsement he needs. So Carlton, once again, hating and lurking from the side, when it's like, if you could get your ass off of your shoulders and get rid of that nose candy habit, you too would be more engaged and you wouldn't have fumbled the bag on getting that internship. Back at the house, Hillary is catering a party for Aunt Viv. Hillary's catering a party for Aunt Viv, and Vivian is doing everything she can to not let them know that Hillary has dropped out of school and her gap year has turned into her not wanting to go back. So come to find out that one of Vivian's sorors is the woman that she used the connection with to get Hillary the interview for Hot Cuisine. After the Hot Cuisine interview, Hillary got on her Instagram and basically blasted them that they weren't catering towards black people. So now it's turned into a PR mess because about 2 million people have saw, and it's blowing back on Vivian Soror, who hooked up the interview for her. So Vivian and Hillary have this point of contention now where she's telling her mom, I don't need you. I don't need your connections. I can, get it out the mud by myself. You're trying to plan my life. So later that night, they have to go to both Will's first basketball game, Carlton's lacrosse game. Carlton is already mad that they have to split the time now. And it's like, oh, Carlton. So they split the time. They're at Will's game. Hillary basically gets kicked out the house because Vivian told her, look, you think that you can do it by yourself? You don't need my money. You don't need my resources. You've been living in the poor house for 2 years, rent free, all this other type of stuff. You can go and get the hell on. And I said, oh, because Hillary's been throwing shade at her mama too, mentioning how she should have been like an aspiring artist, but instead now she's just settling to be an art history teacher. So from what we can gather is that Vivian was popping first, and then she came along, and I don't know if Uncle Phil started popping after that, but it definitely seemed like she stalled and derailed her own career for the sake of his. So while they're at the game, Will is doing great. He's being a real team player. He's not like going ball, he's not hogging the ball or going crazy. He's like really just playing a good solid game. Carlton, on the other hand, is bombing it in lacrosse, ends up like hitting somebody all over the damn head. I don't know how to play lacrosse, but I know you can't be hitting folks the way that Carlton hit that man. So he gets kicked out the game. He's frustrated because he kept looking to the sideline. No one's at his game because they're all still at Will's game, which was a very close basketball game. Carlton goes into the locker room and does a bump does a quick line to get his nerves together just in time for him to walk out into the basketball court, see Will hit the game winning shot, sees his family to the side cheering for him, and now Carlton's whole mood is just, oh no. And it's like, it's not that deep. Meanwhile, because Will has blown up during that game, he comes across it looks like ESPN. So they see it in Philly, and now Rashad knows exactly where Will is. And remember, Ice Tray told Will that there's a bag on your head, so keep your head on the swivel now, even in LA. So I know this recap was kind of all over the place, but I just want to do like a very, very broad overview of Bel-Air just because I enjoyed it so much. I think you all should check it out. Peacock is $5. You know, all these streaming sites, everything. We need to just have one big streaming site where stuff is, but that's not the case. So it is on Peacock. It's only $5, $4.99 a month. I thought it was super, super good. If you have not already, like, subscribe, and comment, and I will catch you guys in the next one.